Well, well, well. Garryth 2, Legions of Dawn against Magnus 2. Lots of steelheads and lots of nomads. About 5 nomads, actually, and 3 units of steelheads. With the Alexia 2 revised after CID. So let's do this. I wanted to try the Destors version of this with the nyss. I'm only getting 2 free points out of this because nyss don't contribute. But I like this list for speed, hitting power, lots of types of gunshots. It doesn't have harpies, doesn't scratch that itch, which is kind of sad. But it's got a lot of other really good things going for it. It can alpha and feat, which is pretty, in my opinion, pretty valuable and kind of my goal going into this game. I want to get a decent alpha and be able to feat. So I go first, get my army up the board. I intentionally put this Destor within range of that Nomad. Seems like a trade I'm okay making, getting some Sentinels in on a Nomad rather than dancing with them. And yeah, that's pretty much what happens. His turn, he gets up there and he kills the Destor with the Nomad. Other Nomad comes. Get rid of this. Other Nomad comes and hides behind the house. And the other Nomads kind of float around out here. Steelheads come flying up. Steelheads come and hide behind the forest, so I can't kill them this next turn. And everything just kind of moves up. And we have a match that looks like this. So this is what I kind of wanted. I get the alpha I want. Let's do some work. Destors go flying into these steelheads, kill a crap ton of them, and get a little bit of damage done elsewhere, and then reposition to places that are going to make them harder to remove. Destor Thane kind of does the same thing. I put 6 Sentinels on this Toro, or not on this Toro, on this Nomad. Don't get the work done. Leave it on about 5 boxes. So Moros comes over, smacks it, finishes it off, and then using Road to War, gets to a safe spot behind the Sentinels. Garryth then sacrifices movement, puts an armor-piercing shot into this Nomad over here, does about 13-14 damage for it. Really liking that. Pops feet, has sacrificed movement, and is in a decent spot to get a good feat turn. About half of my Sentinels stayed way back to try and wait out the Magnus 2 feat. And nyss or Imperitus comes up and pretty much leaves this Nomad over here on like 1 or 2 boxes. And then nyss come up and just start shooting down steelheads in here. And we have a board state that looks pretty much like this. It's just a mess of things, and that's exactly how I kind of want it. I got a good alpha. I got almost a full 2.5 nomads. This nomad's on a couple of boxes, and this one's half health. And I got a lot of steelheads killed, and I'm set up to get a lot of work done with feet. So he looks at this. What was his goal here? He wants to just kill a bunch of my stuff, get in the mix, and pop feet. And if I think I remember right, yeah, that's more or less what happened. And try and camp, keep escort up, and just get some work done. So Destors end up killing some steelhead. Alexia comes right here. Garryth takes a shot at her since he's blessed. I mean, might as well take a shot at her. He's about the only one that's going to be able to hit her. Defense 17, but with blessed, it's a defense 15 since she has Bullet Dodger on her. So I go for it. I don't hit the 8, and she does not dodge because she doesn't want another Sentinel swinging at her. And she starts killing some Sentinels, and she pops thralls out all over the place. The thralls are placed, don't trigger feet, and she starts killing Iron Zealed Sentinels with them. This Nomad comes over here, kills those 2 Destors. These Nomads over here kill these 2 Destors. Oh, one of my Destors lived. I'm sorry. This Destor right here ended up living. And, steelheads run around over to here. Some of them gum up these nyss. and make it so they can't make ranged attacks. And then this Nomad walks away and takes a free strike. And I'm like, all right, whatever. Kill a Nomad. Sure. But he has a master plan in mind. There was a reason for that Nomad walking away. His plan is when Magnus came up, before he came up, he tossed a Calamity on Imperitus. Then Magnus came up and popped feet. Magnus's feet chose this board edge and this board edge. So I can only move side to side, and I can't move backwards or forwards. So Garryth is locked into that spot, and he's trying to set up a assassination run for next turn, basically. So Garryth can't run away, more or less. And I can't really get to Magnus besides the few Sentinels that are there. So, Calamity's on Imperitus. Then Gorman walks over here, and his plan is to throw a Rust Bomb on Imperitus and basically drop his armor down to 14. And then once that happens, pile in the Steelheads and try and kill Imperitus. He misses the Rust Bomb, and it deviates and goes too far away from him. Rolled like a 2-1. Man, that wrecked his plan. He starts putting Steelheads into Imperitus. I shoot a couple of them dead with Nyss Hunters. Phoenix Protocol gets triggered on Imperitus, and he's not in the greatest shape. Nick Ferende comes forward and hits him, and he's a weapon master, but just doesn't get enough work done on Imperitus, and Imperitus is still alive. So here's my turn. Basic plan for this turn: free up Moros, have Moros take a shot at Mr. Magnus. If it hits, I go for an assassination run. If it doesn't hit, I have to get Garryth way over here, out of 9 of Magnus. And then I just kind of plan on losing this bundle over here and start pushing this side. That's the rough plan. Sentinels' vengeance attacks, they just spin around and they kill some thralls. And this Sentinel right here intentionally spins so he's looking this way. So that way nothing is engaging Magnus 2 right now. Because currently as he is, that Sentinel is engaging Magnus 2. But with my vengeance attack, I spin him. So let's start this thing off. Moros sacrifices movement now that all the thralls are dead. And boost to hit, hits the 6 he needs. Magnus 2 is paralyzed. I boost some damage, and I go through, I burn away his shave. And I'm like, hey, I dropped his defense to 5, got rid of his shave. Moros, A+, man. You nailed it. So now, the Destors start shooting, and Destor Thane starts shooting Magnus, do some good damage. Sentinel swings on Magnus, do a little bit of damage. I'm just chipping some damage through Escort, and Unyielding's kind of a decent deal. Sylis gets out of the way over here, and this Sentinel had moved out of the way, or moved just slightly, so Garryth had a shot to Magnus. Garryth sacrifices movement. He has Black Penny, ignores the Sentinel and melee bonus, and does armor piercing. And it's dice plus 6 or something like that. No, dice plus 4. He goes from a 17 down to a 9, plus 2 from escorts, and 11. So it's dice plus 3. Anyhow, I boost the damage roll, and I roll 1, 1, 2, and it does 7 damage. And Magnus 2 is alive on 2 boxes. And I'm sitting there like, come on, Garryth. Learn how to roll dice. Gosh dang. Oh, man. Dude, what is up? That was bad. So that was supposed to put Magnus 2 in the dirt. But let's scramble and see what I can do. This Artificer right here. Oh, and Garryth decides to repo to right about here. Artificer walks a little bit in front of him, does a Magno Bolt, gets Arcane Vortexed. So, woo! Then it's time to do some CRAs from Nyss. So I can get 2 Nyss over here that can get shots on Magnus. One of them was out of feet. The rest of the Nyss just shoot a whole bunch of Steelheads and do a whole bunch of stuff over there. And I I put a 2-man CRA into Magnus. It hits. I roll an 8. Dice were off 7. And the turd's alive on 1 box. Yeah. Well, okay, whatever. Imperitus goes through and just starts munching all these steelheads with flame burst from them blowing up. Or no, so, God, I keep forgetting. Flame burst doesn't trigger on his melee attacks. It's only his ranged attacks. I am sorry, my mercenary opponent. I messed that one up. But anyhow, he does kill a crap ton of steelheads. And Nick. And that's a thing. So, this is where our board state ends up with. His plan: spam some thralls behind Garryth. Try and get Magnus 2 in there to, if he can, knock him down with his open fist. But if not, just get some damage rolls on him. Eilish comes over and puppet masters him. The thralls get spammed back there. And some Sentinels get cleared out by steelheads, basically. And then this Artificer dies to Alexia. Magnus 2 goes in. He killed both of these Sentinels so that this guy got promoted. And once he's promoted, he can't make melee attacks, so he doesn't get to free strike Magnus when Magnus goes flying through. Good on him. Well done. Good, effective use of resources. And Magnus cannot get in half-inch range of Garryth for his open fist, but he does get his 4-cleaver in there. Whew. He decides to go for a Calamity. He misses the boosted Calamity, because that would really crank up the thralls and make it actually somewhat doable. And then he's got 2 dice to hit a 10 against Garryth with the 4-cleaver armor piercing. He misses it too. The assassination run is pretty much falling apart, and the thralls start whiffing their attacks. So, we end up here. Anastasia did try and kill Imperitus, but even with backstab and a rust, it just wasn't enough to bring the big guy the rest of the way down for his boxes. So, yeah. Moros activates. He hits Magnus 2, boosts damage, and kills him. Whew. So that was a very entertaining game. Love Moros. I kind of like this style of list. I'm not crazy about Destors. They killed a lot of steelheads, but they just melt. They just melt afterwards. They outpace Garryth for his feet, and they're easy to kill from outside of his feet range. Love Imperitus. Love Moros. Want Harpies. The nyss are kind of falling out of favor with me. I've really liked them because they kind of do everything. They've got POW 10 guns for his feet. They're weapon masters that love mortality. They're guns that love mortality. They're fast. They can get alpha. And they like occultation. And if I put force barrier on them, they're immune to blast and defense 16 against guns. Pretty sweet, right? But I just don't know. I feel like they still die too easy, and they're just not making their points, I feel like. They sort of did this game, but in all the other games, when I think about it, they haven't really. Sentinels kind of do. So, and Harpies have. Imperitus does, Moros does, so I'm going to start going with that. Sentinels, Moros, Imperitus, Harpies, and we're going to see where that takes me. I felt advantaged into this game. I had the tools to delete his armor, and I had the tools to delete his steelheads, and my feet still gets a lot of work done on his feet, and I felt like going first too was kind of a kick to the balls. It was fun. It was entertaining. I also remembered that I have a blessed gun on Garryth's armor-piercing shot. So I should have killed Magnus 2 exactly to the box, since his armor would have been a 9 and not an 11, and it would have been dice plus 5 instead of dice plus 3. But all said and done, pretty happy with it. I probably was a little too risky with Garryth. I probably should have repoed Garryth onto the other side of that objective once I failed the assassination run. I think his initial position of right here was solid. He didn't have the tools to assassinate me, but once that armor piercing shot didn't kill Magnus, I should have repoed him over the objective and used the objective and the Artificer as a shield to try and keep Garryth alive. That was a misplay on me that did not get punished, which those are the worst types of misplays because they're likely to happen again. Thank you for watching, and hopefully you enjoy this game.